everyone! Welcome to my channel, Kindledspices. You're back in Anita's kitchen. So today I have here for you would be meat lasagna. I'm going to cook today. I have all of these ingredients here listed, laid it out for you on a table. So let me go ahead and tell you what we have here. So we have our lasagna, we have our mozzarella cheese, ricotta, Parmesan. I have mushroom and spinach that will be going into the layer of the lasagna after it's cooked. And then we also have our meat that's going to be ready to cook in just a moment. These are all the spices that I'm going to incorporate into the meat, the ground beef here. So we have our salt, sugar, black pepper, a little bit of parsley, and thyme. And I have olive oil for the noodles when I'm cooking it. And then obviously we have our marinara sauce ready to go when we start assembling our layers. Alright, so let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and start cooking our lasagna noodles. These noodles you probably need about 9 of them because it should be like 3 on each layer. And if your lasagna is not at least 3 layers high, then that's not a lasagna. Sorry to say. What did you say? So I'm gonna go ahead and cook this into our pan here that I already have heated up and ready to go. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add a little bit of salt and olive oil in the noodle. So essentially for salt, you could probably just put like a teaspoon of salt in there, and then just a few drizzles of olive oil. So the lasagna noodles, it should take anywhere between like 12 minutes to 15 minutes for it to cook thoroughly. Once it cooks through completely, you just want to go ahead and drain it out and set it aside so it can cool down. The heat, you can leave it on medium to high heat. That should be good enough for like about a minute or 2. Alright. And this other little pot I have here is going to be for our spinach. I'm going to go ahead and put it in there so it could soften up. So while that's cooking, and while we wait for our spinach to be done in about 3 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and cut up our mushrooms that we have here. I'm going to cut them into slices so that way we could lay them into our layers much easier. Now if you don't like mushrooms, you don't have to add mushrooms into your lasagna. I just prefer mushrooms in mine. So this is about half a pound of mushrooms. You don't have to necessarily use the entire thing, just enough of what you want to incorporate into your lasagna layers. I'm just gonna go ahead and chop all of them up, and then once the noodles are ready to cook, then we'll go ahead and add them in. So while those are chopped, we're going to go ahead and remove our spinach. It should be ready. Alright, so we're just going to set this aside and let it cool down for a bit. Once our noodles done, then we'll go ahead and assemble the lasagna. Alright, great. So now I'm going to go ahead and cook our ground beef. Let's start at the fire. So you can add oil into your pan if you like, or you can just cook the ground beef as is. The ground beef has already a good amount of fat juice coming from inside of it, so I'm not going to add any oil. I'm just going to go ahead and let it heat up and let the oil flow out of it, and it'll cook better that way with its own juice. So this is about a pound and a half of ground beef. This should be enough to put into your meat lasagna. If you need any more, then you just always add more as you go along. Alright, so now that it's gotten a little bit brown, we're going to go ahead and add some of our spices in there. Salt. For all of these spices, I would say that this is about a teaspoon that I've added all in here into the ground beef, so it can add a little bit of flavor to it once we put the lasagna together. And then as you cook it, you see there's like big clumps in there. You just want to go ahead and get your spatula and just like, break it down a little bit more into smaller pieces. So that way it could come apart easier, and when you put it into your lasagna, it won't be like clumped together. Alright, so just make sure that there's no more pink in the ground beef, and once you see that, then that means that it is good to go. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take this off the pan and put it back into, a new bowl. Just throw it all in there with the juice. Wonderful. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and check back on our lasagna and see how this is going. It's just about right, it's almost there. Say another few minutes and it should be ready. And once it is ready, then we can go ahead and start building up our layers. Alright, so our noodle is done. So we're going to go ahead and start assembling our lasagna now. So I have our ricotta and Parmesan and mozzarella cheese ready here. I have 2 ricotta. You may not need to use a second one, but if you do, I recommend you always getting an extra just in case. So let's get started. So what I do is I like to put a little bit of the tomato sauce, the marinara sauce, on the bottom. So that way when the lasagna is baking, it doesn't get stuck to the pan. So just put a little bit down in there. And then as I mentioned earlier, the same goes for my marinara sauce. I usually make it out of scratch, but today, for some reason, I just wanted to just get one that's pre-made. So I got 3 cans. Normally, you might not have to use all 3, but I'd say always get extra just in case. You never know, and you might need more or extra. Okay, it looks good. Let's go ahead and put it in. Just want to put it over each other, layer after layer. Now for ricotta, they have the whole milk one and they also have the part skim one. You always want to get whole milk because part skim can just be a little bit too liquidy, and so it might not give a good taste to the lasagna when it's fully baked. It'll make it seem kind of mushy to my perspective, my preference. So I always recommend getting whole milk. And you know, you just want to make sure that you get all areas of the lasagna. You don't have to cover the whole entire noodle, but I'd say a good portion of it. So that's good. Enough there. Now we're going to go ahead and add our ground beef. Now don't use all of your ground beef because you want to have enough for the second layer as well. Okay, so that's good enough. It's covered most of the lasagna, ricotta. Now we're gonna go ahead and add our spinach. You can just use your hand and put a few over top. You don't have to grab a spoon. If it's already cooled down and not hot anymore, you can just use your hand to put it over. So that should be good. Now we're going to go ahead and put mushrooms. Pasta sauce on top. Now don't use up all your pasta sauce because you want to have just enough for the very top layer. And you're just putting a little sauce over the top, not drenching it all out. Here goes our second layer. Now if you have any broken lasagna noodles that got torn apart while it was boiling, those are best to use in the center of the lasagna because when you cut it, it'll basically not fall apart from the top to the bottom. And so I just put that and I just put another whole one over it. And it's just rinse and repeat. So you just basically do the same step over from the first layer. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and add our marinara sauce over it again, just like we did on the first part. There we go. Again, don't use up all your marinara before when you put noodle on the very top, your marinara runs out, it'll be a dry pasta. You don't want that to happen. Now we're going to go ahead and do the finishing touch. Then we're going to go ahead and rest of our marinara on top. Now this, don't hold back. Go ahead and put as many as you can. I'd say put all of the marinara that you have in your bowl. Make sure that it's covered in every basis, because you want this lasagna to come out very, very juicy. I wouldn't say soggy, but it'll have enough marinara to cover each base. What you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and grab your mozzarella. Again, mozzarella low moisture is fine. If you can find the one without the low moisture and has whole milk, then that's perfectly fine as well. You want to go ahead and sprinkle this over the top, because you want it to melt down and show that cheesiness on the top once it starts to bake. Now we're going to sprinkle some Parmesan on top as well. Now for the Parmesan, not too much, just enough, because the mozzarella would melt down already. That should be good. Okay. And with the finishing touch, I'm going to go ahead and add some parsley right on top of it. The parsley is going to give the lasagna a very great smell and taste to it once it's done cooking. Great. So now what you want to do is you want to go ahead and preheat your oven to 375. You're going to cook this lasagna for about 40 minutes. 20 is going to be with foil over it, closed, and then the other 20 is where you're going to take off the foil and let it cook on the top. So we're going to go ahead and start our oven and set it to 375. Okay. And we'll see you guys back in 40 minutes. See ya! Hey guys, so welcome back. So it's 20 minutes later. So we're gonna go ahead and open up the top part. Voila, you see that? Now we're gonna go ahead and put it into the oven for another 20 minutes to let it bake. So it can go ahead and melt all the wonderful cheese on the top. Woo, this looks so good. All right, there we go. So another 20 minutes, okay? And then it should be ready to eat. Hey guys, welcome back. So it's been 40 minutes that our lasagna's been cooking, and I'm ready to see how it looks. Let's go, let's check it out.
Fire Dragon, brilliant flame!
Oh my God, look how gorgeous that looks. I'd say this is one of the best jobs I've done so far. But I cooked lasagna plenty of times, so I didn't expect anything less. But let's cut into it and see how it looks from the inside out. Let's go. Okay, so let's get into it and see. Wow. Can you see the layers perfectly nice? You can see the ricotta there. You can see the spinach. This is what a lasagna should look like. All right. Let's have a taste. Okay, I'm gonna have a taste test for today once again. Follow me. Hey, Mama, good lasagna. Try it out. See how it goes. It's hot, so don't burn yourself. Okay, let's try it out. Almost got burned. All right. So, what do you think?
Delicious.
Really? That's all you have to say?
Well,
Nothing more than that? Come on. You know how
it's delicious, but it should hold a shape. Right now it's a little flat.
Right?
Yep.
What are you rooting for?
Okay, so let's have a taste, guys. See how it goes.
Hold on.
Oh. Alright, so, babe! Shush! Okay, so it's all done, so let's have a taste, shall we? See how this goes. Oh my god, I did an excellent job. This is so good. Alright, thank you for watching. Go ahead and click on the bottom and subscribe if you guys like my video. I'll go ahead and try to make something other than something new next week. Something, if you guys have a request, go ahead and put a comment in below. But subscribe to my video if you like my video. Thank you. Bye. Next time.